Moshi Moshi.
Hello,
I'm Zeb Ramsbotham,
and I'm Annie Ramsbotham.
and we're the Rambling Ramsbothams.
Our journey might be rambling, but we hope this podcast isn't. What are we talking about today?
I guess a lot
Well, first we're going to talk about the Kite Festival.
finally happened.
Yeah, the World Kite Festival.
The peaceful world.
The Peaceful
Kite
World
Festival.
Kite Festival was right here in our backyard, and
There were probably
on the
6
ocean.
foreigners, and we were half of them.
No, there were several more that came earlier because I talked to our language group about it. But
I forgot that the class went.
yeah, so Kite Festival, we're going to read 2 emails from some listeners and answer one of the questions that one of them asked about how do you make friends in Japan?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I would like the answer to that as well. And then we're going to talk about how the Tooth Fairy doesn't visit Japan and what you do for your birthday in Japan.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And yeah, so the kites was this past weekend.
Yeah,
And I know you've been looking forward to that since we found out we were moving to Uchinada.
I've been pretty excited about it. It was rainy, but it wasn't, it didn't dampen the spirits too much. Haha. But
Yeah, it turned out okay because I guess it was on Sunday and Saturday was pretty gross.
mm-hmm.
But the
And
weather
so it
kind of cleared up
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had a mix of Western kites, like what you and I think of, I guess, in storybook style kites.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also had these really huge Japanese style kites.
Yeah.
And I was looking up what a Japanese kite is, and it says that it's characterized by a flat bowed bamboo frame that's covered in washi paper. So
Yeah, I noticed that they were paper. I didn't know it was washi paper.
Yeah,
That's
I was
pretty cool.
a little worried about them with the rain and stuff.
Yeah, they did have
They held up really
tents.
well.
The tents you see at a bike race or I don't know, where do you see that? Like an event.
Yeah, just
And-
those pop-up tents.
Yeah, so they had the kites, I guess, probably under the tents while it was raining.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel bad if someone had their kite out. and
Well, the
then-
other cool part about them is that they're decorated with sumie ink or just regular paint too. But the actual kite is like a piece of art because it's this huge square,
That's
billboard
true.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, how
it's
tall
just a
do you
big piece
think-
of paper.
They were probably 8 feet tall,
Yeah, definitely
like,
some of them.
a human wingspan wide.
I would say maybe some of them were 6 feet wide, but some of them were probably 10 feet tall. Because, some of the ones we saw that were propped up against the tents, they were, taller than the tent was.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of them were pretty massive.
It took a group of 10 people to hold them up so that so they were trying to
Yeah.
get them to get into the air, and it wasn't a terribly windy day, so it wasn't ideal kite conditions, but there was a whole group of people that was trying to hold the kite up, and then these really long strings, I guess,
Mhm.
so many strings that corded into a rope almost, and they were getting crowd involvement and kid involvement by having a group of people
I think
pull
maybe
it.
part of the problem was the crowd involvement.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, I just feel like we kind of talked about when we were at the beach with our buddy Kyle that maybe, 5 committed adults, if they were pulling on the string and they ran together, I feel like they could have gotten it up. But then,
Yeah.
you have parents wrangling kids
Yeah, they
and
probably
kids
had
trying to hold the rope.
30 people
and
on this one
I
rope.
think they had more than that. There were a lot of
Yeah.
people there.
It was a really cool idea, but by the time they got everybody to line up and hold an end of the rope, the wind would change, and so then they'd be like, okay, go
Well,
more to this side.
The first one they messed up because they started to pull it, but they the people reached the water
Yeah.
before the kite really got up into the air.
Yeah.
And so that messed it up, and so the kite kind of crash landed, which was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
And then the second time there was actually a bit of an
Yeah,
injury
well,
on
this,
the playing
this
field.
poor old man got caught up in the kite strings, and the kite kind of took him down.
Yeah, it slammed him really hard.
Tried to go up, and he's okay, but they did have to.
We think he's okay. We left. That kind of dampened our
we
kite
didn't.
flying mood.
I didn't want to stand around and watch him.
Yeah, he was
be
struggling
in
for
an
a little bit.
uncomfortable position. So I felt bad for him, and it wasn't helping for me to just stare. So
Yeah. So
I think he's okay.
the Peaceful World Kite Festival.
It wasn't peaceful for him.
It was a little chaotic.
That poor man.
Yeah, it was like fun to see, and it was neat to see. It looked like they had like an A and a B section.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming the A section was for like the professional kite flyers.
I think they
and then
also
the B section seemed like for kids.
Yeah, they had different areas where it was like free kite flying, and so kids would be flying their kites wherever they wanted. But I was looking at previous years' schedules, and they had like trick kite times.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we didn't arrive until 11:30, and it started at 9, so we might have missed that part.
Yeah, we missed a bit of time, but admittedly, that first 2.5 hours was raining. So
yeah, it was a little drizzly.
Yeah,
but they did have like food stands that I was surprised by. There was like, smelled really good over there. There's like yakisoba and corn and takoyaki.
And this was the first one that they've had since COVID. So I'm kind of assuming maybe COVID dampened the upward trajectory of the Kite Festival for a year. So maybe they're getting back into the swing of things. Yeah,
it'll probably take a couple years for people to like hear about it. You know,
again,
you said that your high schoolers were like, we're not going to that. Probably because...
Well, I asked a lot of people. I would be like, you guys going to that? And like, I would ask coworkers and stuff, and they were all like,
well,
no.
probably because for the last 3 years, it
why
hasn't
would I go?
been a thing. So they're probably like, I don't know what that is.
And, I mean, if they had been once, they probably didn't need to go again.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Unless you just really like kites.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of a, I don't know.
Zeb wasn't impressed.
I didn't necessarily have high expectations.
Yeah.
But even without having high expectations, I feel like it didn't meet
It was a pretty chill
expectations.
Yeah. Well, kites are apparently flown to signify the coming of spring, and to commemorate special festivals around the new year. I don't really know, like, why.
Is that a national, like a Japan, like a cultural Japan thing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's just what this site was saying about why you fly kites in Japan. But I feel like, I don't know, you could say that about a lot of things. But
yeah, a lot of things share the same meaning.
Yeah.
Like they'll just say, yeah, we do this because it's the new year. And it's like, well, you also do this other thing because it's the new year. They're like, that's right.
Well, should we read some emails from listeners?
Sure.
I'm going to start with one from Max. And Max is actually from North Carolina.
Yeah, which is where Annie and I are from.
Yeah. So fellow North Carolinian. But he came and visited with his friend Richard, and they were going to go biking, and so we made them a little route around Kanazawa so that they could tour that. So he says, "Hello, Annie and Zeb. Just a note to thank you again for taking the time to plan a cycling route for us. Really appreciate it. I hope your visiting family enjoyed themselves." And they did. Yeah,
because there was a potential that we could have, like, you know, gone in and said hey to him or helped him more in person, but it coincided with Annie's family visiting. So.
Well, we were only able to rent those little Machinori bikes, unfortunately, so we didn't feel confident or comfortable taking them up into the hills, which is fair. Those city bikes don't have, like, the best leverage. But they are, if you don't want to travel with a bike, they're a great option to tour the city. I
think other cities have it, but Kanazawa was pretty proud of. They have these green e-bikes that you can rent, and they're parked, like, all over the city, and you just pay. It's really cheap. I can't remember how much it is.
I've never rented them, so I don't know, but it can't be a lot. I mean, you just pay by the hour probably.
But yeah, you pay it and you can rent the e-bike, and I think it's designed, you can ride it from kind of like parking spot to parking spot because you can leave it to charge. But I've been like here in Uchinada and seen people on those bikes that they were renting. Like they picked it up in Kanazawa and they rode it down the bike path all the way out here to Uchinada.
Well, speaking of which, Max says, we did, however, ride out to the sea and made our way...
Oh, there we go. Maybe I saw him. Maybe it was him.
Made our way back into town along the Saigawa path. It was a nice outing, about 14 miles, I think. We also rode the bikes here and there throughout the city. We went to the Machinori headquarters near the train station to pick up our cycling helmets, and when I walked into the office, a local TV crew was there, and they filmed the transaction.
That's funny.
Outside, they interviewed me, and then they filmed my buddy and I rolling away. The kind folks at Hotel Pacific sent me a link to the TV report last week. Funny.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that is really funny.
That the hotel was like looking out for him.
He says, unfortunately, though, they cut out the interview. Guess my Japanese isn't as good as I thought, but they left the rest. By the way, in the tiny lobby of Hotel Pacific, you can get well-made coffee drinks, not to mention very reasonably priced gin and tonics and other cocktails. We thoroughly enjoyed Kanazawa. I wish there had been more time to explore that part of Japan. It's quite striking with the mountains in the background. Guess I'll have to settle for watching your videos. I watched the video today that included the Tulip Festival. Very nice. Best wishes to you both, and thanks again.
Yeah.
Very nice, Max.
That was very nice. I'm glad he liked it because, I mean, we sell Kanazawa pretty hard to friends and family. So it's always nice when people come and they actually are like, oh, yeah, this is is sweet.
Yeah.
But that's good to know. I mean, if you rode that thing 14 miles.
Yeah.
Because I'm always worried about the battery life of e-bikes. And those.
Oh, are they e-bikes? I didn't even realize that.
That's the whole attraction of the green rentals.
They were like rentable city bikes.
No. So I mean, I think that's why it's kind of scary, because you could be riding an e-bike and then if the battery dies,
right,
you're just on this super heavy
way heavier
bike.
than a regular bike.
Yeah. But that's the whole appeal to them, is that they're e-bikes.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, because he had actually emailed and he had asked if there was a place that you could rent e-bikes, and we have a Trek shop and we have a Specialized shop that might offer bike rentals, but I don't know if they do.
Yeah, I don't know about e-bikes. There are local shops as well, but I don't think they offer e-bikes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
really cool, because it's good to know. I mean, if you can ride that thing 14 miles.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you want to read this
sweet
email from Maggie?
Yeah.
Here you are.
Oh, you're going to hand me your computer. So Maggie says, and Maggie's one of the people that reviewed the podcast and got a card, a hand-painted frog.
Still sending those out
from Annie.
If you want to write us a review.
Yeah, if you want to get in on the frog action. So we'll get to this question. Maggie said, one topic I'd be interested in hearing about is what it's like making friends in Japan, and did you find it easy to meet new people day to day? And also, she let us know that she stayed in Ueno in Tokyo for 4 days and Osaka for 4 days. And they got to go to Hiroshima for a day trip. And it was her first time traveling abroad.
Oh, cool.
That's really cool. And she said it was such a great experience. Maggie
That's
said
a really
we went
big first ever trip abroad. Like, I'm going to leave the country.
I mean,
and
our buddy
I'm gonna go...
Kyle that's here right now. It's his first trip.
It's his first trip out of the country?
He's been to Canada.
Oh, I didn't
realize
that.
I don't really count Canada, but...
Poor Canadians if they're listening.
I mean, it's abroad, but it's not like...
I guess it's...
I mean, you can say you left the country because you did. You went to a new place,
right.
But...
Sometimes it doesn't feel that
when you
culturally
can drive
different than, like, crossing a state line or something.
But Maggie says, we went in mid-March, which was perfect because the cherry blossoms were starting to bloom. True. And she says that she was really impressed by the public transit system while traveling around, and it's much nicer than New York subway. And she definitely wants to come back soon. And if we have any recommendations for time of year to travel, to let her know.
Yeah.
But she would definitely come back in spring. And then she attached some photos, and it looks really fun.
Yeah. Tokyo is, I mean, that's on everybody's like list of places.
Yeah, I was thinking that there are people that
and with good reason, I mean. There's no city in the world that's really quite like Tokyo.
Yeah, and I feel like, so I sometimes look at the Japan travel subreddit, and there are people that come to Japan and they'll spend like an entire week in Tokyo.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, with all the different
there
rewards,
really is,
there's so many.
There's so much to do.
Yeah. So her question, what is it like making friends in Japan? Do you find it easy to meet new people day to day? And when I read that and I told Zeb, I don't know if I feel like qualified to answer that question. Zeb was like, I can answer it, so I'm interested to hear.
Well, I think that, I guess my answer is that I think really it is really similar to anywhere. The main thing is that it's just a language barrier. So you have the same opportunities to meet friends like anywhere you go. So the big thing, if you take part in like local events. So that's how Annie met her coffee friends that she gets coffee with every Tuesday, was through our Japanese class. And then I met like a coworker, and, sometimes I would go out to a bar with him. And then now I have my cycling friends that, I meet for group rides sometimes and stuff like that. So it's kind of, I mean, just like you would in America, you meet friends from events. I guess the only thing is, if you don't speak Japanese and they don't speak English, it just really lowers your opportunities. Because obviously in America, if you go to an event, potentially every single person at that event can be a friend. because you can talk to all of them.
Right.
But here in Japan, it's so much more limited because you can go to an event and maybe 5 out of the 100 people there speak English.
Mm-hmm.
And so they also have to be willing to make the effort to deal with the language barrier, and you have to be willing to make that effort. So I would say it's the same as anywhere else, but it's just a little bit more challenging because of the language barrier.
I guess I think there are a couple other challenges more than back in America too, and this is a pretty broad generalization or stereotype, but I feel like people are a little more reserved here and also like to plan ahead a lot more. And so sometimes people are a little less willing to like open up right away. And I'm fairly like close to being out of college. I mean, I like fairly recently graduated in 2018. So when I'm comparing,
that's like 5 years ago.
Still, it's not that long ago, but like when I'm comparing
you could have gone to college again.
Yeah. Well, I'm comparing the last, I guess, like large move in my life was going to college and going to like a collegiate environment. And that's like a totally different friend making group because everybody is so outgoing and open and, you know, everybody's like hungry for connections.
Well, I think a lot of people in college are down for whatever.
Right.
But
so it's just
I
different.
think you could say the same thing about like adult life, even in America.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make friends as an adult in America?
Yeah,
like,
everybody
you have
has
to
their
really
own social circles already.
You kind of have to put yourself out there and go to events or go to functions or whatever.
So I guess my point with the planning ahead thing is like at first I was kind of thinking when people would say, oh, well, I'm busy right now, but like maybe in a couple months we can do something. My initial reaction was like, oh, they don't want to hang out because they wouldn't say a couple months. They're like hoping I forget by that point.
Yeah.
But people are actually meaning like, no, I'll put you on my calendar for a couple months from now.
Yeah,
which
that's
seems
true.
kind of funny. Maybe that is just an adult thing. But like your friend, we were gonna go to the bar with him, and he was like, "Let's go to an izakaya. I'll
he told me like
one."
in October that he wanted to go to an izakaya with us, and then like a month later in November, he was like, "Great, I have a reservation for January."
Yeah, he was like, "I'm busy until January."
Yeah,
but he was for real, and we really did go
really
in January. Which is funny because I don't think I've ever told somebody. I mean, not
like months in advance.
Yeah, at that kind of new stage of friendship.
Yeah, that's true.
I've told longtime friends like, "Oh, let's meet up."
Yeah, you know? I think there are definitely some cultural differences, and I guess you can also lump that in with. I've heard that people will say that Japanese people will do something like they'll invite you over to their house and they'll be really enthusiastic about it, but in reality they don't really mean it. They're just trying to keep the mood going. Like if everyone's hanging out and everyone's having a really good time.
Peak social anxiety for me. Like, oh, is everybody saying things they don't actually mean?
Well, I think that they mean it in terms of like they like you enough that they would consider it, but I think they kind of say it as in like, you know, keeping the mood going. Like, we're having such a good time. Like, we should do this again. Like, come over to my house. But then they don't really mean like come over to my house. Like, but I mean, so yeah, there are definitely some cultural differences, but I think the biggest thing is the language barrier.
Yeah.
Because it just limits your pool of potential friends as long as you don't speak Japanese.
Well, and we don't really speak enough Japanese to make friends naturally like that.
Yeah, like I couldn't, if I was just sitting in a restaurant and I happened to start chatting with the guy next to me, I don't speak good enough Japanese to have a legitimate conversation where I could get to the point where I'd be like, same time next week?
Yeah.
Like, all right, buddy. Like,
yeah, there's
we'll see you.
like striking up a conversation in a bar kind of thing. But I will say, like, the way that we met friends, it's hard as an introvert, but when we moved here, my personal goal was to say yes to everything. And I was looking on our town hall, so the town hall has a website here, and it's probably the same for most, like, cities and towns. And I was just looking for events we could go to. And so that's how we found that language class.
And we also did look for, like, Japanese classes and stuff. And
so we went to those, and it's a little uncomfortable as an introvert, but it was helping. And also volunteering. So looking for volunteer opportunities introduced us to people, and then it would kind of snowball. We really haven't made like a whole lot of friends yet, just because our language skills aren't great enough.
I think we have a lot of like acquaintances now. Like we've gone out to eat with like a few different people from that group, Annie has like 2 really good friends that she made through that group.
Mm-hmm.
But then other than that, we have like other acquaintances that I do feel like a few of them I could message and say like, hey, do you want to get dinner next month? And they'd probably be like, yeah, like let's do it. So there are avenues, I guess, for closer friendship there. But yeah, I guess just being an introvert and honestly just enjoying my personal time.
Well, and it's motivating to like study more Japanese.
Yeah, like
the
that's
idea
me
of being
with,
able to meet more people and connect deeper.
Me with my cycling team, like when I go to events with them, it really makes me wish that I spoke more Japanese because they're so friendly and they're all really nice people. And I could see myself being, like really good friends with those guys. And I would like to keep in touch with them, in the future. But one of them speaks really good English, so that makes it really easy.
Yeah, several of them do. And I want to learn...
Well, one speaks like really good English, and then several of them speak English.
Like moderate,
as in, we can communicate back and forth a little bit.
Like as much Japanese as we can speak, and they can speak English, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be able to talk with their wives.
Oh, yeah. But see, that's like a situation where those guys could be... I think they are friends, and they could be really close friends, but the language barrier is just enough that one of us is always having to make kind of a greater effort to try and overcome that hurdle to reach the closer friendship.
Yeah. And we are also lucky that you came over through the JET program, and so you come already with like comrades, like other English speaking people.
Yeah, that's like if you're okay, if you just want friends, like they don't need to be Japanese people
or anyone that lives already here.
Yeah, there are a lot of other people in the JET program that you can get super involved with and hang out with and
other foreigners. Like when I went to my Japanese class in Kanazawa, there were other people that were here on different English programs and different, like some people will study in college here, like they'll take classes in English, but in Japan. And so you can meet other foreigners. But
yeah, and then sometimes just online, like Reddit is a good way. And then it's also
very 21st century.
I got a lot of advice about like bike racing and just the bike community. There was just like an online forum I found that a bunch of other cyclists, of course, are on. And I haven't met any of those guys in person, but if I'm ever at a bike race and they're at a bike race, I'd be totally down to say hey. So yeah, there are a lot of foreigners in Japan if you just want friends and you're not trying to like do the whole like I'm only going to talk to Japanese people thing.
I mean, it's good to have a mix of both, but
yeah,
if you are listening and you've lived abroad, I'll take any and all tips on how you made friends in a different country with potential language barriers. So
but if you're an extrovert, don't send us an email because
no, I'll take
we're not
going to
listen to your advice. We'd rather just sit inside and eat ice cream.
That's what we did tonight.
And it was great.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
So another thing I learned this week on a completely different topic is that the tooth fairy does not visit in Japan. She doesn't come collect the teeth from Japanese children.
I mean, I imagine it's pretty far to go.
Yeah.
If you're a tooth fairy. Her
poor little wings can't get all the way over here. But do you know what children who lose their teeth do instead?
No,
You want to guess?
I was thinking like what I mean, as soon as you asked me, I was like, well, what would I guess if I could guess? And make a necklace out of all their teeth that they lose?
No. It's
okay.
Pretty grim.
I'm sorry.
Did your mom, this is an aside, but like, did your mom keep your baby teeth in a jar or anything? Like,
I think she kept... The
tooth fairy took all my teeth, but I
think maybe my mom kept it's like the first tooth I lost, but after that I think...
I just can't imagine like having a jar of teeth.
Yeah, I wouldn't want a jar of teeth. I don't even know if she kept the first tooth I lost. I might be making that up, but for some reason I feel like I can imagine. I had a friend who said
that happened, and I was like, I don't...
The whole jar?
No, just like they would keep a couple of teeth, and I just don't want any... I don't need any...
Yeah, because I don't know what you would do with it. I guess it's also really grim, but if I ever lost, like, a bone or something, I might want to keep that.
Really?
Because that's kind of cool.
Okay, when I got my wisdom teeth out...
The teeth I don't need.
I was, still awake when they were pulling them because I apparently my veins are too small. They couldn't like give me the IV.
It's a bummer, isn't it?
So yeah, it must be nice. But
Pretty good.
they were asking me when I was still delirious, do you want these? And I was like, no, I don't. What would I do with my teeth?
Yeah.
And Seb was like, you didn't want to keep them? And I was like, no, I don't want to see.
I didn't want to keep them.
Well, you were like, oh, I would have wanted to see. Like, that would have been cool.
Did I say that?
Yeah, but I was like, I don't want. I was like, no, get rid.
I might have wanted to see them, but I don't need to keep them.
Yeah, he like yanked them out of my head, and then he was like, do you want these? No.
Yeah, I don't know why teeth to me seem a little stranger, but a bone, I would keep that. Anyway, what do they do with their teeth?
So if you're a child in Japan, if you lose a tooth from like your upper jaw, you throw it down on the ground, like straight down. And if you lose one from below, you throw it up into the air or like onto a roof.
Just like out in your yard?
Yeah. And that's because you want the teeth when the permanent ones come in, you want them to grow straight down or straight up. And so you throw your tooth, or you throw it or you bury it.
So is that saying that the people with crooked teeth, they didn't throw their tooth straight?
Maybe they just, they threw it at an angle accidentally. Yeah. The more you know.
How are you looking that up?
It was actually a different podcast I was listening to.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it was Decoder Ring. But
that's fun.
She had something about the Tooth Fairy, and I was like, I wonder if the Tooth Fairy comes to Japan. No. She doesn't.
You just have to throw your teeth. I was going to guess also maybe like some kind of like yokai or whatever, like a traditional spirit. Like maybe you give your teeth to the kappa or something.
Yeah, that would be funny actually. Well, let's talk about birthdays in Japan.
Why are we talking about birthdays?
Because today's my birthday.
I know. Special podcast day.
Yeah.
Getting to record it on Annie's birthday.
Yeah, this feels like just an excuse to be like, it's my birthday.
I mean.
But it is.
It kind of is an excuse, but yeah you get to talk about it.
So in America and probably other countries, when you turn 16, it's your sweet 16, like kind of a big deal birthday.
Yeah.
I don't really know why. I guess because you can drive. Is there any other reason? Maybe like it just always felt like a cool teenage birthday.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is maybe there's some like gross, antiquated
now
age
you're
of
a woman
thing, but
I know like
also I think it just depends because like in my family, turning 16 really wasn't a big deal. We didn't really do I think it was cool when we became teenagers. I can remember thinking that, like, oh, I'm a teenager now. Like when I was 13, I was like teenager. But then when I turned 16, it wasn't really a big deal.
Oh, really?
Even 18 was not really a big deal.
18 wasn't. I mean, it was a big deal to turn 18 because then you're an adult. Technically, I didn't feel like an adult.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Japan, we talked about this before, but your 20th birthday is like your 18th birthday.
Yeah.
Actually, your 20th birthday is more like your 21st in America. Because when you turn 20 in Japan, you can drink.
Well, you get a lot of legal stuff, but I think that they've recently lowered the age. But I think they still celebrate the 20th as like a big deal. Right, yeah. But you can be 18.
Adulthood is now 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now 18-year-olds can vote, sign a rental lease, and get married without parents' permission when you're 18.
Wild.
But you still have to wait to get a driver's license, which is...
You can't drive until you're 20?
That's what this article is saying. Is that real? That seems so late.
I mean, I guess you don't need to if you live in the city or most places.
But what are you going to do outside the city?
Nothing.
I'm going to have to fact check that.
All the cool stuff happens in the city.
Well,
you rent one of those green bikes, the e-bikes, and you just pedal it out to Uchinada.
You can't buy cigarettes or drink until you're 20 still. But you're technically an adult at 18, so, and yeah, so your seinen is a big deal, but it's the Seijin no Hi is the coming of age day when you're 20.
That's fun.
Yeah, but the birthdays that we don't have in America, there's also your quinceañera, like in Mexico, and I guess a lot of people in America celebrate quinceañera, but I think that's your coming of age when you're 15, but. None of that is in Japan, but instead, when you turn 7, 5, or 3, those ages are a really big deal. And you go to the shrine for a couple of different things. So I was reading about this because we don't have this in the U.S., but when a boy is when a boy is 3, they can wear wait. When a boy is 5, they can wear the male kimono for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. And then when they're 3, they can start growing their hair out because traditionally your head was shaved until you turned 3.
Until you were 3?
Yeah, and then you could start growing out your top knot as a boy.
I wonder was that like a hygiene thing to prevent babies from getting lice? Like what was the...
I don't know.
I wonder why.
But when you're 5,
interesting.
They'll take their baby boy. I guess he's not a baby anymore, but they'll take their little boy.
Big baby.
Yeah, they're the little baby boy.
Still wearing paper pants.
In the hakama, which is like when you see a male kimono, it's like the skirt kind of thing that the guy's wearing. And so that's when the boy is allowed to wear that. And then the 7-year-old girls, that's the first time they can wear the obi sash that's not the child version. So like the woman obi.
Wow.
I guess not, they're still obviously a child.
So 3 and 5 are for boys and 7 is for girls? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Although I don't know I don't think they would shave their baby girl's head. But.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of all look the same until they're 3 anyway.
Yeah, so this happens on November 15th is Shichigo-san. And Shichi 7 goes 5, San is 3. So that's the day when you'll take that age child to the shrine and do their prayer and wear their kimono, take their pictures.
It's fun.
Celebrate, the baby's growing.
And there are a lot of things in Japan that are in 3, 5s, and 7s.
Yeah, they're lucky numbers.
Yeah, because they're like the 3 holy mountains. They're the 3 perfect views, the 3 perfect gardens. And I'm pretty sure... So here in Ishikawa, we have a grand shrine, and I think there are only 5 grand shrines, but I might be making that up.
I wonder who decides that.
I don't know.
So also when they take their kids to the shrine, you can buy this special candy, Chitose Ame, which is longevity candy, and Chitose means 1,000 years. So I guess you're supposed to... The candy's shaped like a stick, and it comes in a bag with, like, cranes and turtles that are on the illustration on the outside. And those are both symbols of longevity or long life. And Chitose means 1,000 years. Did I already say that?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's all that to say that you hope that they live for a long time.
So what do you get when you turn 27?
I don't know. A fun night with ice cream.
A new episode of Demon Slayer.
Yeah, we did watch that while we ate our ice cream.
Yeah. It was a great night.
Yeah.
I'm pooped. Wore me out.
Yeah. We're recording this podcast late on Tuesday because we just didn't get it together and wake up early this morning.
Well, we woke up early, but our buddy's still here. Yeah. Kyle's still with us.
Well,
he's been doing like some cool bikepacking trips and then staying with us kind of on the rest days in between the trips. Mm-hmm. And then he headed out this morning on another trip.
Yeah,
so we were recording it this evening, and then I had to teach at my night class tonight. So yeah.
Now you're back from school. But he posted a picture where he has this really cool campsite.
It's really pretty.
Biking around the Noto Peninsula, and so he has this really nice campsite with the ocean view and everything. Yeah. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, it looked really cool. And he saw the married rocks. Oh. I don't know if we talked about that before when we rode around Noto, but there are these rocks up there that are married. They're tied together with a
Shimenawa
rope.
Little holy rope linking the rocks. I don't know why they're married, but they are. We took a picture in front of them. Maybe that's some kind of symbol of long marriage life.
I mean, I guess after they've been sitting next to each other for however many hundreds of thousands of years or whatever, it was time to tie the knot. They just figured good time as ever.
Tie the knot.
Oh, sorry.
Well, do you have a word for this week?
Yeah, so just to continue on the theme, my word is Tanjobi.
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 And
it's
that
like
means?
Banjobi. It means birthday.
Birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess, you wouldn't say it with that terrible accent we just were using, but yeah. And something that's interesting, in English you say happy birthday, but you don't say like literally happy birthday in Japanese. You say tanjobi omedeto, which is birthday, congratulations.
Well, yeah, like, congrats on that.
Yeah.
You did it. Whoa.
Oh, made it.
Must have worked hard.
Yeah, I did.
But I think also, though, they sing happy birthday in English, don't they?
Yeah, you can also say happy birthday, like English happy birthday, and people know it that, that they say that too.
They get it.
They're
cool.
Well, anyway, mine is taco, which is kite. It's also, I paused because it's also octopus if you use a different spelling, but taco is kite.
It's a good one. We saw a lot of tacos. We saw both tacos, actually.
We saw octopus?
Well, they had takoyaki at in one of the
the
booths.
Food stands.
Yeah.
The fried octopus.
But we saw a lot of kites. I'm surprised there aren't more. I guess it would be really hard to make an octopus kite a taco.
Taco.
I guess a taco wouldn't really fly very well, though.
What if we made an
octopus?
Octopus eating American tacos as a kite? It'd be like a taco.
That's overwhelming.
We'll make that for next May, and we'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, you can paint it on there.
Yeah.
For next year's Peaceful World Kite Festival.
Yeah. Yeah. But thanks for listening this week.
Yeah, and if you made it this far, you know what you should think about doing?
Writing a review?
That, and telling all your friends about this podcast. Everybody you know.
Yep. And you can check out any of the words of the week on our website, ramblingramsbothams.com, or see photos of what we talk about in the week, and we'll put some photos of the Kite Festival on our Instagram at ramblingramsbothams.
Oh, you can put the video of that guy getting slammed on the ground?
No.
Okay.
That poor man.
Yeah. Oof.
I think he's okay. He's okay.
Tell yourself he's okay.
Yeah. And we're recording this as a video again in case anyone is a visual podcast watcher. And that's going to be on our brand new YouTube channel.
Just put us on in the background.
Yeah.
We'll just be there with you, except we don't look at the camera.
Just looked at it.
Yeah. So it's kind of awkward. You just look at two people looking at each other. But yeah. And I have been working on the transcripts.
Nice.
We're a little bit behind.
Yeah. So we have maybe 5 transcripts up, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Slowly, we'll keep adding transcripts if you're a reader. So if you like reading, or you like watching, or you like listening.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of it all.
But thanks for doing any of that, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.